Ratnabhushanam Namami Nandanandanam Sukhandayangasaurabham Rovirajikosavam Yuvagsuvatsalochanam Namami Nandanandanam Vinasurangaram Vilasurangavasanam Surendagavamochanam Namami Nandanandanam Prajaganasунayakam Sarasukha Rayakam Jaganmana Pralobanam Namami Nandanandanam Srinandanandanashtakam Pateryasvarayanvitam Tadir-bhavadim luranam Labhetarangri-yumakam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam Munindra Vrindavandite Trilokashokaharini Prasanna Vaktra Pankaje Nikunja Bhuvilasini Brajendra Bhanu Nandini Brajendra Shunu Angate Kadakarishasehamam Kripakatakshabhajanam Ashoka Vrikshabharari Vitaramandapasite Kabara Bala Palava Prabharurangi Gromale Parabhayaspurat Kore Prabhuta Sam Pralaye Karakarishasehamam Kripakatakshabhajanam Garangamangalam Prasangabhangurabhruvam Savibranam Sasambramam Sriganthabhanupatana Nirantaram Vasikrita Patitinand Nandane Karakarishasehamam Kripakatakshabhajanam Taritsuvana Champaka Paribdagora Vigrahe Mukhavura Sarastakoti Paradenu Mandare Vichitra Chitra Sancharakshakora Sara Rochane Karakarishasehamam Kripakatakshabhajanam Madhonmadate Yovane Ramoramanamandite Priyanuragaranjite Kalabilasapandite Ananya Kunjaraya Kamake Kovire Karakarishasehamam Kripakatakshabhajanam Asheshahava Bhavajira Irahara Bhushite Prabhuta Sata Kumbha Kumbha Kumbhi Kumbha Shushtani Rasasta Mandahasya Chuna Purna Sokya Sagare kada karishasi hamam kripa kataksha bhajanam mirnala vala bharari tarangalanga dolate latagralasya lola nila Ochanavalokane La 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 Milan Manojna Mugdamo Nashrite Kadakarishyase Hamam Kripa Kataksha Bhajanam Suvarna Malikanchita Tireka Kambukantaje Samangali Guna Tiratna Dipti Diditi Salola Nila Kundala Prasuna Kucha Gumbite Kada Karishasi Hamam Kripa Kataksha Bhajanam Nitam Bhabim Balambamana Pushpamekala Prasasaradna Kinkini Kalapamadhya Manjule Kalindra Shundadandika Karoha Ragoluke Kada Karishasi Hamam Kripa Kataksha Bhajanam Aneka Matra Naira Manju Purala Fasulat Samajaraja Hamsha Vamsha Vikvanati Gorave Vilola Hema Balare Vidham Charu Chankrame Kada Karishasi Hamam Kripa Kataksha Bhajanam Ananta Koti Vishnu Loka Amra Parmajachite Hinadrija Pulomaja Vinitya Jaravapare Aparatit Hirit Hidika Sarpadangulinoke Kada Karishasi Hamam Kripa Kataksha Bhajanam Magheshwari Kriyeshwari Swareshwari Sureshwari Tirera Bharaseshwari Brahmana Saruneshwari Rameshwari Shameshwari Ramodakananeshwari Brajeshwari Brajharipe Shiradhike Namostute Iti Mama Bhutam Savam Nishamya Bhanunandini Karotu Santanam Janam Kripa Kataksha Bhajanam Avettaraiva Sanchita Trirupa Kamanasanam Pavetara Brajendra Shuna Mandalam Praveshanam Namadharishasi Amam Kripa Kataksha Bhajanam Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Krishna Prabhu, do you want to lead Mahamantra? Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's great. Cool. We're back on page 289. His round face is so lovely. His beautiful ears are adorned with hanging jeweled earrings, and his body is nicely anointed with fragrant sandalwood paste. I offer pranam to that Sri Nandanandana. Do we want to go around or should I just do it? Yeah, okay. His eyes are elongated like lotuses. Peacock feathers adorn his head, and he enchants millions of cupids. I offer pranam unto that Sri Nandanandana. '85. O Srimati Radhika, who are glorified by great sages, O you who dispel the lamentation of the three worlds, whose lotus face blossoms with a humorous smile and who sports in the kunjas, O beloved daughter of King Vrishabhanu, O most near and dear to the son of the king of Braj, when will you make me the recipient of your merciful sidelong glance? O you who are present in a pavilion made of creepers that are entwined around ashoka trees, whose beautiful, tender reddish feet have the luster of coral and newly sprouting reddish leaves, and whose raised hand grants benedictions in fearlessness. O abode of infinite opulence, when will you make me the recipient of your merciful sidelong glance? O you, who on the stage of amorous sports, in the course of an auspicious discussion, expresses amazement by curving your eyebrows like bows, and then suddenly firing the arrows of your sidelong glances, pierces the son of Sri Nanda with amorous delusion and bringing him under your perpetual control. When will you make me the recipient of your merciful sidelong glance? O you, whose radiant and fair form resembles lightning, gold, and champak flowers, whose lotus face defeats the splendor of the effulgence of millions of autumnal moons, and whose eyes, restless like those of a young chakora bird, make various astonishing expressions at each moment, when will you make me the recipient of your merciful sidelong glance? O you who are intoxicated by your youthfulness, who are decorated with the delightful ornament of sulky anger, who reveals in your lover's attachment to you, and who are supremely proficient in the art of loving affairs. O you who are the most learned in knowledge of loving sports within the realm of your confidential auspicious forest groves, when will you make me the recipient of your merciful sidelong glance? O you who are decorated with the ornaments of Anubhav, such as Hav and Bhav, and a diamond necklace of gentleness and gravity, whose breasts are like water pots made of pure gold, and which resemble the twin mounds on the head of an elephant. O you whose glorious gentle smile is like an ocean of bliss, when will you make me the recipient of your merciful sidelong glance? O you whose arms are like the tender stems of a lotus swaying in the water's waves, whose glance from blue eyes resembles the tips of creepers dancing in the breeze, who allure Manmohan to follow you, and upon meeting him steal away his mind and give him shelter in his state of enchantment. When will you make me the recipient of your merciful sidelong glance? O you whose neck is marked with the 3 lines like a conch shell, and is adorned with golden necklaces and an auspicious tree sutra, glowing with 3 kinds of brilliant gems. O you whose bluish black tresses, interwoven in a braid, with a cluster of flower blossoms, sway to and fro, when will you make me the recipient of your merciful sidelong glance? O you, from whose rounded hips hangs a wreath of excellent flowers, on whose charming slender waist a sublime belt of tiny bejeweled bells sweetly rings, and whose beautiful thighs taper like sloping trunks of the king of elephants, when will you make me the recipient of your merciful sidelong glance? O you whose ankle bells, sweetly resounding with a host of Vedic mantras, resemble the warbling of a flock of royal swans, and whose beautiful gait mocks the movements of a swaying golden creeper, when will you make me the recipient of your merciful sidelong glance? O you who are worshipped by Lakshmi Devi, the mistress of unlimited Vaikuntha planets, and bestows benediction unto Sri Parvati, Indrani, Saraswati, even one of the nails on your lotus feet gives rise to infinite variety of spiritual perfections. Oh, when will you make me the recipient of your merciful sidelong glance? O mistress of all of O mistress of all kinds of sacrifices, of all activities, of the mantras uttered during yajna, of all the gods, of the teachings of the 3 Vedas, of the enforcement of the scriptural principles, of the goddess of fortune, of forgiveness, and of the delightful forests of Vrindavan, O mistress and empress of Braj, O Srimati Radhika, I offer my pranam unto you. O daughter of Rishabhanu, upon hearing this wonderful prayer, please make me qualified to perpetually receive your merciful sidelong glance. By your mercy, my 3 types of karma will be destroyed, and at that moment, I will enter the circle of the son of the king of Braj and his dearmost Sakhis. Srimati Radharani ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Guru. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Rama Rama, Hare, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya. Oh, Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. I go to Premanande. Om Jnana Timarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Umilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Nama Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Nama Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayaniti Namine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Pevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, Paramaradya Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. I also offer my obeisances unto my entire Guru Parampara, being represented here by Srimati Shamarani Didi, and to all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavis assembled here today at the sacred Vedic arts. Please accept my Dandavat Pranam, or just my pranams, because I'm not doing Dandavats. But in my heart, you can imagine. Today is the divine disappearance day of yet another illustrious Acharya in our Vaishnav lineage, Sri Ramanugacaraya. Yesterday was Madhvacharya, and today is Ramanugacarya. In fact, they're up there on the wall. I think what on the left, second from the left, yeah. You sometimes see he has these pictures. His ears are kind of like long, like that South Indian look. Yeah. So Ramanujacharya, he is the Sampradayacharya of which Sampradaya? Shri. 10 points due. Got a grudge. We'll see who gets the first to 100 today. Don't worry. I'll give some easy ones. I was looking past you, Prabhu. Blocking the view. And so he's the Sampradayacharya of the Sri Sampradaya, which is coming from Lakshmi Devi. And this Ramanujacharya, he appeared in about the 1000s AD, so about 1,000 years ago, pretty ancient times. And he appeared in a small town called Kanchipuram. Actually, I'm not sure if he appeared there, but that's where he lived for a while. Now, the name Ramanuja is coming from two words. One word is Ram, another word is Anuja. Like we have a prayer. How's the prayer go? No, I forget how we even say it. Namashrestam manumapi sachiputra atva sarupam rupam tazagrajam. That's no, okay, wrong one. What's the other one? where we jeez, I'm going blank here. Anyways, it has the word Anuja referring to Sanatan Goswami and Anuja. Mande ham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Tazagrajam. No, I just said it again. Bitam tam. So it has the word Anuja in there? Anyways, I thought it did. So Anuja means the younger brother, the Anuja. So Rama Anuja means the younger brother of Ram, which is 10 points to Atul Prabhu. He's on the board. I'm gonna keep him easy. Anyway, so Ramanuja simply means the younger brother of Lord Ram, which is Lakshman. So it's another name for Lakshman. So we have Ram and Ramanuja, Ram and Lakshman. If you have a brother or a sister, are you a younger brother? Okay, fine. Like me, my older brother, his name is Aaron, so I would be Aaron Anuja. You get it? Anyways, Aaron Anuja. I'll tell him that one day. So this Ramanuja name means Lakshman. But more, so you think that's neat, but actually Ramanujacharya is the incarnation of Lakshman as well. So the name is quite fitting for being an incarnation of Lakshman. So since he's an incarnation of Lakshman, we're fasting today because it's Vishnu Tattva. You guys aren't fasting? What? Oh, yeah, yeah. Actually, happy Ekadasi, everyone. Because today technically is Ekadasi. Yeah, today is it is the Ekadasi day today. It is the Ekadasi Titi. But because the Titi began after Brahma Muhurta, we're not observing the Ekadasi fast. We will do that fast tomorrow on Dwadasi. But technically today is Ekadasi. Anyway, so we're not fasting either for Ramanujacharya's appearance day because we see him as a servant of the Lord, as more like Shakti Tattva. Anyway, so Sri Ramanujacharya, he grew up just like all young high-class Brahmins studying grammar and other Sanskrit rules. And he was very expert. In fact, one day when he was at school, his teacher was giving, his teacher's name was Yadavacharya, and he gave this beautiful analogy. He said that Krishna's eyes are like kapisam. And the word kapisam is the conjugation of the word kapi and asam. And kapi means monkey, and asam means coming from. So he said, oh, Krishna's eyes are red like the kapisam, like the thing coming from the monkey. And what is that thing coming from a monkey that looks red? It's, it's rear end. Have you seen a monkey and they have that bright red, pinky looking buttocks? So the guru, his teacher, was like, oh, Krishna's eyes are like kapisam. They're like the rear end of a monkey. And when Ramanuja heard this, he was like, what? How could he say such a thing about the Lord's eyes? And he knew that his guru or his teacher is coming from the Mayavad Sampradaya, from Shankaracharya. And they don't have very much appreciation for the Lord's divine form because they're impersonalists. They're like, oh, everything is Brahman. This world that we see is nothing but an illusion. It's not even real. But this doesn't even make much sense because if everything is Brahman, how is there something that is not Brahman? And then how can this not Brahman cover Brahman? Their philosophy is not so concrete, but it is very nice to accept when you live in Kali Yuga and you're conditioned. So anyways, his heart was broken. He's like, no, 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 no. So he politely told his teacher, oh, Gurudev, I have another translation of this word because he was expert in Sanskrit. He said, kapi doesn't always mean monkey. Kapi can also mean which draws water. And what is the entity that draws water from all over the world? 10 points. That becomes water, but what makes the cloud? What is the big, round, shiny thing that pulls water? The sun. You're getting there. You were getting there, Pooja. The sun. So the sun draws water. Yeah, the moon does affect the tides. You weren't wrong. Yeah, half credit, 5 points. So the sun is drawing the water from everywhere. Even the sun will draw water from a polluted area and purify it. So the sun is the entity that is pooling water. And asam, what is coming from the sun would be a lotus flower. A lotus flower takes its birth because of the sun. So another way of defining kapisam is being born from the sun or coming from the sun, which is a lotus. So Krishna's eyes are reddish like a kapisam, like a lotus flower. And then his guru heard this and was like, "Oh, that kind of made sense. Probably better than my idea of the monkey's butt." So then he's like, "Oh man, this child's too good for his own, for us actually. And one day he might become a powerful teacher, and he'll begin defeating all of our schools of thought, and he might wipe out Shankaracharya's teaching." So just like they tried to do with Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, they were like, "I should kill this boy," which is a shame. But this is Kali Yuga. This even happens right now today. Whenever there's a prominent Vaishnav teacher, you will always hear someone being trying to say the negative things, try to kill the reputation of the great Vaishnav. It happened to Gurudev. It even happens to Srimati Shamarani Didi. There's always some envious person trying to kill the reputation. So anyway, his teacher Yadavacharya was very upset, and he said, "No, I gotta kill this boy. So let me do a nice trip. I'll take my class deep into the jungle, like a camping trip. But also deep in the jungle, there's like places to like meditate and study. So they went very, very, very far into the jungle. And then that evening, he told some of his students, like, the plan. The plan is we're going to take this boy Ramanuja, we're going to kill him, and leave his body out for the wolves and tigers. But one of the students was Ramanuja's cousin, and he didn't like this idea. So he told Ramanuja a little bit later, he said, "Hey, teacher's planning on killing you tonight. You need to escape." So Ramanuja said, "Oh, I'm out of here." So he ran off in the evening. He ran all day and all night, or whatever time it was, but it was like dark. He's just running through the jungle. Indian jungles are no joke, especially back 1,000 years ago. They're filled with tigers and all kind of things. In fact, my friend was in Nepal and they had missed their shuttle to get to the airport, but it was only like a 3 mile walk, so they decided to walk to the next town. But as they were walking, there were signs: "Beware, do not walk at night, tigers." And they were so scared. It was the scariest like 2 hours of his life, just walking through the jungle. And eventually, a police officer stopped him and said, "Hey, you cannot walk here at night. You'll be eaten." But they were like, "Krishna Bhagavan." But yeah, but they were saved. So anyway, he ran through the jungle, and it was scary. And as he was going through the jungle, he came upon a hunter with his wife carrying a lantern. And the hunter said very sweetly, "Oh, my son, where are you going this time of night in the jungle?" He said, "I'm trying to get back to my village, Kanchipura." He said, "Oh, we're also going to Kanchipura. Please, just come with us, just this way." So he's very happy, and they walked very short time, and immediately he was at the edge of the jungle again. And he turned around to thank the hunter, but they had disappeared. And that's when he realized, oh, this hunter and his wife was actually Lakshmi and Narayan. They came to guide me out of the jungle. So he found his way back into his village, Kanchipura. And then meanwhile, his guru is in the jungle with his classmates, and he was like, "Well, Ramanuja hasn't come back from the bathroom yet. I guess he got eaten by a tiger, or maybe mauled by a boar." It's true, there's boars in the jungle too. I scared Pooja one day because one of the dangerous animals in Florida is the wild boar. So now when we go for a walk, she gets scared. But so the teacher was thinking, "Oh, Ramanuja has finished. I didn't even kill him myself. No problem." So then when the students came back from their trip into the jungle, they saw Ramanuja was still alive and he was happy, doing good. And so the teacher's like, "Oh no, he's still here." But he was like, "You know what? Let it be." And Ramanuja once again began going to his school and learning from him. Eventually, Ramanuja became very educated and he decided to be a teacher himself, and he would teach his own students. And as he got older, he also got married. The glorious marriage. Except his wife was not very nice. She was quite mean, rude, and they came from a high Brahmin line. So she had this pride of like, "I am a high class Brahmin." So one day, a devotee, his name is Kanchipurna, not to be confused with Kanchipura. So Kanchipurna came, but he was from a lower class of Brahmin lineage. And they stayed at Ramanuja's house. And Kanchipurna was a disciple of Yamunacharya. And they spoke so many nice things. And Ramanuja's heart was like, "Oh, I also want to meet this Yamunacharya. He sounds so beautiful, so nice." And they shared nice Harikatha together. And then one day, the wives went out to the well to fetch some water. And some of the water from Kanchiporna's wife spilled out of her bucket into the bucket of Ramanuja's wife. And his wife became furious. She was like, "How dare your dirty water touch my water?" But they both come from the same well. But just the fact that she had touched it, in her mind, made it seem like contaminated, like a low class person. Even in India today, in some places, if you step on a Brahmin shadow, they become very angry. Like just the fact that a little Western malecha like me stepped on a Brahmin shadow, it's like, ugh. One time I was in Puri and I just changed my Brahmin thread so it was like super white. And I was like going to the ocean, like, yeah, I'm gonna go bathe in the ocean. And there was like this big Brahmin sitting there. And he saw me with my shiny white thread and he was like, "Oh, Brahmana ho gaya, huh? Brahmana ho gaya." Meaning like, oh, already a Brahmin. Because in his mind it takes lifetimes to come to the birth of being a Brahmin. And here I am, this little white boy that was just living in America with a bunch of nonsense. Now I've got this shiny Brahmin thread. Like he's like, "Oh, Brahmin already, huh? Brahmin already." And I was like, "No, no, no, no. This is my dog leash, and this is my dog collar. I'm just a dog." And he was like, "Oh, okay, okay, okay." Like whenever someone's coming at you with pride, just play the humble card, and you just go right underneath there, like. So, anyways, so his wife became very angry and like chastised her heavily, and Conchaporna's wife became sad, and she told her husband like, I don't want to be here anymore because this woman is insane, and so while Ramanuja was at school teaching, they left his home, and when he came home, he was like, "Where did Conchaporna go? They didn't even say goodbye." And his wife was like, "They're no good. We don't want to. Her water spilt into mine. I gave her the sauce. I drove her out of here." And Ramanuja's thinking like, this woman is not a proper wife because she's making Vaishnava aparad. It's one thing to no one should even get angry at ordinary living entities, but especially Vaishnavas. Vaishnava aparad is called the mad elephant offense because it can completely uproot all the beautiful garden you planted in your heart, where you're growing your bhakti lata beej and you're being so careful, taking care of it. But when you make Vaishnava aparad, you can run right over it, destroy it simply and quickly. There's other things that we can do that we think are super bad. We're like, oh, that so and so did that bad thing, and that bad thing, and that bad thing. But those things are insignificant in comparison to Vaishnava aparad. In fact, there's 6 types of Vaishnava aparad. Do a little side note here. Anyone know the 6 types of Vaishnava aparad for 100 points? That's one of them. Not to be happy upon seeing a Vaishnav. Let's go with the most gross one first. Killing, hitting, hurting, like physically hurting a Vaishnav. And then the next one, yeah, speaking badly, insulting, using bad language for a Vaishnav. So hurting a Vaishnav, insulting a Vaishnav, Puja said, not being happy upon seeing a Vaishnav. Sometimes a devotee will walk in and you're just like, ugh, that's Vaishnava aparad. Just by being like, ugh, no happiness came in your heart. So even if you don't like that Vaishnav, you have to see some good quality. Like, oh, he's so nicely dressed today. Something. Oh, I like the color on Got a Grudge today. Very nice color. Like something. But when you think like, ugh, that Prabhu again. Or it's like Friday night kirtan and that one, someone comes in, you're like, oh, this is Vaishnava aparad. Just not being happy upon seeing a Vaishnav. Okay, where are we at now? 3? We got 3 more. To become angry at a Vaishnav. Yeah. Sometimes Vaishnav comes, like Sumuki. She's loudly coming down the stairs, and I'm like, hey, you're disturbing my class. Become angry. This is aparad. Or maybe, you're in kirtan, and sometimes Vaishnav just jumping, and knocks into you, and you're like, ugh, disturbing my bhav. Like becoming angry. Vaishnav aparad. Someone gave you 1 extra scoop of khichdi. Gah! Vaishnav aparad. So to become angry is Vaishnav. The other one is to bear malice, meaning, so, okay, Sumuki came down the stairs, totally ruined my class. I was angry, but I let it go. Whatever. She's doing her seva. Life goes on. But if I thought about it all day, the next time I saw Sumuki and I was like, you ruined my class. So hold on to something. So become angry can be in a moment, but to hate a Vaishnav continuously, this is a Vaishnava aparad. And I have one inside my heart. I was like, one Vaishnav I don't like, and I don't know how to get over it. So I pray one day I can. But it happens. No, seriously. It happened like 20 years ago, and I'm still holding on to it. Anyways, I need to go to therapy. So, no, but this is Vaishnava Aparad, and it is causing me not to be able to chant the pure holy name because I'm holding on to something that happened 20 years ago. This is bearing malice. Okay, where are we at now? We have four, five, five. And the sixth one is when a Vaishnava comes, you fail to greet or welcome them. So you have no anger, you have no malice, you're even happy upon seeing them, but you're just kind of like, you just don't acknowledge them. When a Vaishnava walks in the room, you can just be like, Hari Bol. But if you're just like, they walk in, you're just like, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Ram, playing on your phone. Hopefully you don't do the two together, but I know you do. But yeah, so so to fail to greet or welcome a Vaishnava is an aparad. So, but there is a degree of uh, like to hit a Vaishnava is obviously the worst. To fail to greet and welcome them is a little bit down the line. So each one is not like one Vaishnava aparad is equal to all the Vaishnava aparads. There's a degree of difference. But ultimately, if you can remember these six aparads, don't hit a Vaishnav, don't insult a Vaishnav, always greet a Vaishnav, don't be unhappy upon seeing a Vaishnav, don't get angry at a Vaishnav, and don't hate a Vaishnav. If you can avoid these six offenses, your Bhakti Lata will be protected and it will grow. Even if you make sin and other aparads like Seva aparads can be absolved by just chanting more and doing more Seva. Those aren't that big, but it's the Vaishnava aparads that Krishna does not like. So anyway, Ramanuja's wife was making this Vaishnava aparad, and he was like, "Oh, I'm not liking this." So then he's like, "Well, whatever. I'll just forgive this." Then one day he was at school teaching, and an elderly Brahmin came begging because in India they have a beggar culture, which is a nice actual beggar culture. When a Brahmin's not going to go work all day like a Sudra, and he's not going to do military art like a Kshatriya. He's not going to do business like a Vaishya. He's going to study scripture. But you don't make a lot of money studying scripture unless your family has had money for some time. Because sometimes a Brahmin is employed by the king and they get lots of wealth. Anyway, so this Brahmin was very simple. He studied the scripture, but he had no money. So what he does is he goes out door to door and he just begs for some flour, for some sugar, for some vegetable, from anything. And people always have a couple extra things, especially if they're about to go bad. You're like, okay, you're gonna have this potato, you're gonna have this tomato. Because I was doing it in India. We go at the Radha Kunj, they go out every Ekadasi begging, or every Dwadasi, the day after Ekadasi. They go out begging, and the villagers don't have much, and they have a lot more money than the villagers do. But it's an ancient custom where the Brahmins go out and they beg, and it purifies the giver. And so usually they can give, so it's like give what you can. So you give a little sack of flour, but the next person gives a little sack of flour, and it starts to add up to an amount where you can make rotis, and then you can cook for yourself. Someone gives one apple, someone gives one vegetable, and it adds up. So at the end of the day, you come back, and you might have a nice grocery bag, so you can survive. But some days you don't get anything. It's just the nature of begging. Some days will come, some days will go. So then he came and begged Ramanuja, can you please give me something? He said, just go to my home, my wife will give you. He's like, okay, thank you. So he went to the home and the wife was there. She was in one of her moods. And he begged and she said, no, get out of here. You don't even touch my doorstep. You filthy beggar. Ah, get out of here. Nothing for you. So he came back to Ramanuja and he said, oh, I tried, but your wife, she gave me a lot of sass. She was very angry. And Ramanuja's like, oh, this woman, she can't keep herself together. So he thought, okay, I have a plan. So he wrote one letter to his wife from her father. He said, dear loving daughter, please come home. We're arranging for your brother's marriage. Please come home for the wedding. It'll be a grand celebration. And he folded it up and he got a coconut and he wrapped it all up in nice thread and string and gave a couple other ornaments, gave it to the Brahmin and said, now go back to my house and give this to my wife. So he did, and she opened the letter and was like, oh, my brother's getting married. We're going to have a party. I'm going home. Yeah. And she got so excited. She immediately cooked a bunch of food and fed the Brahmin sumptuously, and he was satisfied. He left. Then Ramanuja came home from teaching, and she was like, oh, Prabhu, we get to go to my father's house. He's having a wedding. Let's go right away. And he goes, I have some things to take care of, but you go first, and I'll follow, and I'll join you in a day or two. And she's like, okay. So they arranged the palanquin because back then the Brahmin ladies traveled in palanquin. And she went off, and he was like, Now is my time to escape this marriage. And so he packed up and he left. And he was like, I'm going to take sannyas. He didn't just run away from his wife to go do nonsense. He decided, I'm going to give my life fully to the service of Guru and Krishna. And so went to Sri Rangam to go meet Yamunacharya and to take sannyas. Has anyone been to Sri Rangam? It's quite a magnificent place. It's a large temple complex with many gates coming in, and then you go into the main complex, and Ranganath, he's like a Vishnu deity that lays like this and has like three doorways. So one for his like head, one for his waist, and one for his legs. And he's massive. He's like as long as the room, probably even longer. So this massive deity. He just lays there in Sri Rangam, South India, like near you could say Chennai. And yeah, it's really nice. In fact, they even have Ramanugacarya's body, I think, still there, and his nails still grow. They had to cut his nails still. Yeah. But anyways, that's gonna come later. So he went to Sri Rangam to meet his Guru Maharaj Yamunacharya and to take sannyas. But when he got there, Yamunacharya had just left his body, passed. But he wasn't, because when he got there, there was a funeral procession going on, and he stopped everyone and said, "Oh, I want to have darshan of my divine Guru's form one last time." So they removed the cloth, and there he saw that three of his hands, he was laying like this, but three of his fingers were curled up. Now, I don't know if it's this way, or if it was this way, or if it was this way, whichever way it was. Three fingers were curled up. And so Ramanujacharya said, have you noticed that his three of his fingers are curled up? And they said, no, actually, we never noticed that till just now. So then he said, I vow to you, Gurudev, that I will take sannyas today. And one finger opened up. He said, I vow that I will write a commentary to Vedanta Sutra. Boom, another finger opened up. He said, I vow that I will travel all of India preaching this doctrine of Vaishnava philosophy according to the rules and etiquettes that you've given me. Boom, his other finger opened up. And everyone saw that, and they thought, oh, this Ramanuja must be very special. And after doing the Samadhi celebration, they all got together and thought, this is quite amazing that Jamunacharya had done this after apparently being deceased. This must mean that Ramanuja must be the next Acharya, the next in line to run our entire Sangha. And so they voted him, Ramanuja, you'll become the next Acharya. But Ramanuja was very humble. He said, no, 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 I'm very junior to all of you. You've been sannyasis so many years. You've been serving Guru Maharaj so nicely. I'm very junior. But they insisted, no, you must become the next Acharya. It is our desire. So then he said, okay, but first I want to study with all the prominent disciples, sometimes for several months or a year, however long it took. He went to each of the prominent disciples of Jamunacharya and studied underneath them. And that's quite an act of humility, because if somebody gave me a position, I'd be like, touch my feet, start service right away. But instead, he was like, no, I want to go and serve my God brothers and learn from them. And so after that, then he accepted the post of Acharya, Ramanuja Acharya now. And he began traveling. And there was a king, I forget his name, but he saw the power of Ramanujacharya's preaching, and he thought the same thing everyone else thinks. I need to kill this man, because he's going to destroy not the Shankaracharya's teachings, but the Shivite teachings. Shivite means worshippers of Lord Shiva, because Ramanujacharya is preaching Krishna Bhakti, like Narayan Bhakti, Vishnu Bhakti. So then the king said, all right, let's have a debate. Ramanuja, please come to my kingdom, to my royal court, and we'll debate, and whoever wins will profess that you are correct and will surrender. But Ramanuja knew it was a trick, and all his disciples knew it was a trick, especially his one disciple named Quresh. Quresh. He knew it was a trick. So he pleaded, oh, Guru Maharaj, please do not go to that kingdom. The king will do something bad to you. Please give me your sannyas cloth and your danda, and I will go in your place. Kind of like Param Gurudev did with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, where he took his cloth so that the mob would attack him, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta could escape. So Koresh took the sannyas cloth of Ramanujaracharya and went to his kingdom, and there he debated with the court pundits, and he defeated them miserably, and they became angry. But since Koresh was alone, They had no one. There was no witness, so they declared to the kingdom, "We have defeated Ramanuja," because they thought it was Ramanuja. And the king grabbed him, or had his guards grab him, beat him, and then pluck out his eyes. Yeah, crushed, lost his eyes. And then they released him, and he was all blind, and he's walking. So he's trying to find his way back to Ramanujacarya. In the meantime, Ramanujacarya's party had traveled, continued traveling, and they came to one village where he had some disciples, and he had a party about like 50 people. So he told his disciples, "Go to this devotee's house. They're very wealthy, and tell them we would like to come if they could host us for some prasad and take rest." So they went and they asked the rich devotee, can Guru Maharaj come and you arrange for him? He said, "Oh," and the devotee got so excited. He said, "Let me just check in with the house." And he went in and told everyone, "Oh, we're gonna have Ramanuja come. We're gonna make all these big feasts and this and that." But he never came back and told the two disciples yes. So the disciples waited and waited, and they were like, "I guess he's not going to come back." So they walked back to Ramanujacharya and they said, "Oh, Guru Maharaj, we asked him, but then he never came back to us. So what to do now?" So Ramanujacharya said, "Okay, I have another disciple. They're poor, but they they will make arrangements." So they went to this devotee's house, and he was out begging at the time because he was very poor, and he only had one nice piece of cloth. So whenever he left the house, he wore the cloth, and his wife was not properly dressed. So when Ramanuja came to the door and they knocked, she opens the door and looks out. "Oh, Guru Maharaj, I'm not appropriately dressed right now." So he took off his own chadar and gave it to her, and she was able to wrap up nicely. And then she said, "Please come in, sit down." And then he said, they told their desire, "We would like to stay here for the evening and have prasad." She's like, "Oh, okay, no problem." But she's thinking like, "Oh no, my husband's out begging, and sometimes he doesn't even bring anything home. Like, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna feed 50 people?" But she knew that the neighbor was a rich man, and he was lusty rich man, and he had made some advances towards her. He kept hinting like, "Hey, you should be with me and not with that guy, and I would love to be with you," and all these sweet gestures. So she thought, "You know what? I have been a chaste wife my whole life, but what is the use of my chastity if I cannot serve my Guru Maharaj?" So then she went to the neighbor's house and she told him, "If you please provide all the ingredients for a big feast for my Guru Maharaj, I will meet with you tonight." And he said, "Oh, really? Oh, perfect, no problem." So he got all the boga and gave it to her. She went home, she cooked a feast, she fed Ramanujacharya, all his followers. Meanwhile, her husband just came home and saw his Guru Maharaj there with all this prasad being eaten, and he was like, "What is this?" So he tells his wife, how did this happen?" So she told him, "Well, I want to be a loyal, chaste wife, but I have love for my Guru is greater, and so I agreed to meet the neighbor who's always lusting after me tonight." And he was like, surprisingly, this wasn't easy for me to process, but this is Vedic culture. He was like, "Oh, wife, very good. I'm glad you make this sacrifice, the service of Guru and Krishna." And so that night, after everyone was taking rest, they collected the remnants of Ramanujacharya and the rest of the Mahaprasad, and it started raining really bad, and the husband held an umbrella, and him and his wife walked over to the neighbor's house, and she knocked on the door and entered with this plate of prasad, and he waited outside. And this rich man was like, "Oh, you've come tonight. It's been raining so much. You came alone?" She goes, "No, my husband's outside," which is also hard for me to understand. But but it was like, "No, my husband's outside." He's like, "Oh, very nice." She goes, "Here, I brought you some prasad since you helped sponsor the feast." So he started eating the remnants of Ramanujaracharya, and immediately consciousness became pure so quickly. One time, Savita Didi, she would tell us that her brother was very against Vaishnavas. They're Brijabasi. So she's like, he was like Kamsa. He never wanted to hear from Gurudev. He never wanted to come. So I started taking Gurudev's remnants, and I would go home and I would mix them into his food, and then he would eat. And eventually, after some time, his whole heart changed, and he fell in love with Gurudev. This is the power of the remnants of devotees. In fact, there's three powerful things: Bhaktapada Duli, Bhaktapada Ja, Bhaktabhukta Avishesh, A Tina Mahabal. These three things are Mahabal. Very strong. Bal means like strong. Maha. So great. Very powerful is the foot dust of the Vaishnavas, the foot water of the Vaishnavas, and the remnants, meaning either the food remnants or just the Harikatha of the Vaishnavas, is very, very powerful. So this is one example of that. So after taking the remnants, he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me, my lady. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm so bad. I'm so bad. So, so." please ask your Guru Maharaj if I can take initiation from him. I want to surrender my life to him. And the next day he was then initiated and became a good disciple of Ramanujacarya. And then at the same time, Koresh found his way back. And he was like, Guru Maharaj, where are you? And then Ramanuja's like, oh, Koresh, what's happened to your eyes? He goes, oh, no worries. I defeated the king's pundits, but still they captured me and took out my eyes. And Ramanuja said, no, no, no. He put his hands over his eyes, and then Koresh got his eyes back immediately. And this also has been seen by Param Gurudev when Srila Bhavana Maharaj had crushed his finger badly in the printing press. And it was very bad, but apparently with the blessings of Param Gurudev, because the doctor was like, this isn't coming back, but it healed back perfectly fine, the whole finger. So sometimes Vaishnavas can do this. And so Koresh got his eyes back, and it was all happy again. End of story. Kidding. No. Then, so anyways, then they went out preaching and traveling, because one of the vows he made to his Guru Maharaj was like, I would travel all over India and I would preach this doctrine. His doctrine was called Vishishta Dvaitavad, which means Vishishta is like a speciality, and yesterday's was Sudha Dvaita, means pure dualism, meaning that there is distinction between Krishna and his energies, between Krishna and the souls, between the souls and his energies. Distinction was the prominent focus, pure distinction. But Ramanuja's is Vishishta Advaita Vad, meaning that the souls, the energies, everything is a manifestation of Krishna. It's all Krishna. So technically, it's all one energy, but each energy has its own speciality. So it's like diversity in unity. And we also have the same principle in our Chinta Beta Beta Tattva. Everything is simultaneously Krishna, but also not Krishna. So this Vishishta Dvaita Vad that he was speaking, because Ramanuja was going and defeating the Shaktas, the Shivites, and the Sankaracharya followers. He was correcting it and bringing Vaishnava Dharma back, worshipping Bhagavan. But his Bhagavan was Lakshmi Narayan. So they taught the worship of Lakshmi Narayan as being the supreme being, the supreme Brahman, and that everything is an expansion of his energy, simultaneously one with it, and having its own distinction. So anyways, this was his teachings, and he traveled everywhere. So he found his way up into Kashmir, to a place called Sharda Pit. We have a Sharda here. She's in the pit of the kitchen right now. So he found his way to Sharda Pit. Sharda Devi is actually a name for, I think, Saraswati or some, I think. Have you heard of this? We can ask Sarda one day. Also, Sarda also means autumn, like the autumn season. So if you ever forget her name, just call her, hi, Autumn. You know how people's names are Autumn? Anyways, so they went to this Sharda Pit, and there was like a library. And they were going through, him and Koresh were going through all the books, and they found this one commentary to Vedanta. And like I said yesterday, each Sampradayacharya has to establish their Sampradaya by running a commentary to Vedanta. Because Vedanta is like the crest all of all Vedic knowledge, and if you want to be an authorized Sampradaya, you have to have a commentary. So he saw this commentary called the Bodhayam Bhasya on the Vedanta, which was actually written with Vaishnava theology instead of Shiva theology or Shankar theology. So he's like, oh, this is a beautiful book. I want to. So him and Koresh were looking at it. He's like, let's just borrow this book indefinitely. And so they tried to leave, but they were stopped by the pundits. And they, no, you cannot take this book. Give it back. Get out of here. So they left, and Ramanuja was sad that they had this wonderful book that he could have studied and used to make his commentary. But what happened was, even though he was sad, Koresh said, oh, don't worry, Guru Maharaj. I also looked at it with you, and I memorized the entire thing. That guy, I guess, this is Lord Krishna speaking, but I guess when he got his new eyes, they were like photographic, you know? Like he could just be like, nah. But anyways, he was able to memorize the entire Bhasya, the entire commentary. And so he then rewrote the whole commentary and gave it to Ramanujacharya, who then was able to study it and then compile his commentary, or his Bhasya, which is called the Sri Bhasya? I think it's called the Sri Bhasya. Madhva Baladev Vijaybhushan's commentary was called the Govinda Bhasya, and Ramanuja's commentary to Vedanta is called the Sri Bhasya. Anyway, so he wrote this beautiful commentary and established his doctrine and established their sampradaya. And there's probably many more pastimes, but it's 11 o'clock already. And just trying to think what happened after that. Ramanuja came back. He lived in Sri Rangam. He preached very enthusiastically, and they just lived happily ever after, as far as I know. But then when he did enter samadhi, they if you go to Sri Rangam, you can see Ramanuja's body still 1,000 years later, and his nails still grow, and they still clip his nails. Behind glass, yeah, yeah. Seen it. No, it's not. He's kind of wrapped up in cloth, but you can see some of his body still. Yeah, Sri Rangam was a pretty far out place, and so today we're just praying to Sri Ramanujacarya that you were a magnificent preacher and you had no fear. You were blessed by the Lord because you are an incarnation of Lakshman himself. And if you can bless us to be strong preachers and to be surrendered to Guru like you were, and to have loving relationships with the Vaishnavas, we would be most grateful. So please, Ramanujacharya, please give us blessings on your divine disappearance day today. We'll be forever grateful. Jai Nitai Gauda Hari Hari Bol Vanchakalpa. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.